If you haven't read this comic yet, I can only feel sorry for you. It is not only hailed as one of the best in Korean comics, but also combines various exciting elements. The apocalypse has arrived. The universe's live streaming artist awakens as the super popular Frost male lead. The plot is tight and full of twists, making it hard to stop watching. He is the all-knowing, omniscient reader. Who exactly is he? I know the future that you do not know. The male lead, Kim Dakya, is an ordinary community owner. And like most of us ordinary people, his daily hobby is reading novels. But there is one thing different. The novel he reads has only him as its reader. Yet the author has insisted on updating it for 10 years. But just today, on his way home from work, this novel suddenly announced its conclusion and will switch to a paid model at PM today. As the companion of the author for 10 years, Kim Dakya also received a gift from the author. At this moment, there are only 5 minutes left until the novel goes live. Just then, the train came to an emergency stop with a violent shake. The entire carriage was instantly plunged into darkness. At the same time, Kim Dakya inadvertently discovered something. The time on his phone coincidentally froze at PM. At this moment, a sharp warning broadcast followed. All passengers on the train, please evacuate immediately. However, before anyone could take further action, a flash of lightning suddenly flickered in the carriage. Everyone's gaze focused there. As the light faded, they saw a monster with dokebi floating in the air. Seeing this scene, Kim Dakya's pupils suddenly shook. Everything happening before his eyes made him involuntarily recall the plot of the novel. The train that came to an emergency stop, the darkened carriage, and then there was the plush monster that appeared. Everything felt as if the virtual and reality were completely overlapping. At the same time, this is the tragic prologue of the fire-extinguishing novel. At this moment, the people on site were in a frenzy. Some thought they were filming a movie. Others felt it was a virtual game. The crowd was in an uproar, surrounding the monster. The surrounding chatter made him very irritated. In the next moment, he angrily shouted for silence. With a sound from the wind, a man's head exploded like a watermelon on the spot. The blood immediately plunged people into Peking opera. The monster bared its teeth and shouted angrily, "This is not a movie, nor is it a dream. It is not a novel either, but a real event that exists for you. Do you all understand? You have all been living quite comfortably, without having to pay any price. You could eat, drink, and relieve yourselves as you pleased. Now, your good days are over." A man, hearing the monster's words, thought it wanted money, and said he would pay any amount, as long as it would let him leave here. However, the monster just snapped its fingers. In the next moment, the check in his hand instantly turned to dust. This kind of paper has no value in the dimensional universe. If you dare to do such a thing again, I will blow your head off. Rather than explaining more to you, it would be faster to let you experience it yourselves. After saying that, it snapped its fingers again. The dokebi on its head instantly elongated. Like an antenna, channel 762 has been opened. The constellations have entered the channel. In the next moment, a pop-up appeared in front of everyone. Main quest: please kill at least one life form. Time limit: 30 minutes. Success reward: 300 coins. Failure penalty: death. Then I wish you all good luck. Please be sure to present an exciting and interesting story. After saying that, the monster disappeared with a bang. And after the monster left, the colleague next to Jinduji immediately called the police. However, no one answered on the other end of the line. Liu Shanjia anxiously asked what Jinduji should do. Seeing this, Jinduji hurriedly comforted him to calm down a bit. Just treat this as if they have entered a game. Now, since it's a game, they just need to follow the rules. But when Jin Duji looked at the tragic scene in front of him, he still felt it was hard to believe. The fire-extinguishing law novel he had chased for 10 years had actually become reality and appeared before him. So he tried hard to recall the plot of the novel, in an attempt to find a way to survive in this new world. Just then, a voice interrupted his thoughts. A young man walked out, claiming to be army guard Li Jianqing, and that he would now take control of this place. But upon seeing Li Jianqing, Jin Duji was frozen in place, because he recognized this person. Although it was his first time meeting Li Jianqing, this name was vividly imprinted in his mind. He was one of the main supporting characters in the fire-extinguishing law. But what confused Jin Duji was, he clearly remembered that Li Jianqing did not appear in this way in the novel. At least he should not appear until after the first main quest. So what is the situation now? Just as everyone was still in a panic, the monster reappeared after a long time of no action. The countdown in front of them was wildly jumping. In the blink of an eye, only 10 minutes were left, and an additional penalty was added. If the first act of killing does not occur within 5 minutes, then all life forms in that space will be completely annihilated. This phenomenon suddenly made everyone even more anxious, but Jin Duji felt no surprise at all, because the current development was just as he had expected in the fire-extinguishing law. But for some reason, since just now, he had a strange feeling that he couldn't shake off. Since supporting character Li Jianqing had appeared, then why has that person not appeared yet? At this moment, the adjacent carriage had already completed its first blood, but many other people in the space began to take action. So the little monster snapped its fingers, releasing a holographic live broadcast. Everyone immediately recognized that it was the classroom of Hurricane Girl. When the countdown ended, everyone was stripped of their lives. Only one girl, after committing the murder, Li Zhihui, became the only survivor in the classroom. Seeing this scene, the panic in everyone's hearts reached its peak. Their figures slowly began to distance themselves from the others. Even Liu, who had just relied on Jin Duji, Shangya also let go. Everyone was filled with vigilance towards each other. But Jin Duji did not completely remember the content of the novel, so he wanted to read the novel again. However, this work had already disappeared. At that moment, he suddenly remembered something. That was the gift the author had sent him. When Jin Duji opened it, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. It was indeed the entire content of the novel. And in the novel, all survivors would have exclusive traits and could learn exclusive skills, just like in a game. So, he must first figure out his traits and skills. So Jin Duji called out the traits window in his mind, but was prompted that the traits window could not be activated. This situation was unexpected for Jin Duji. If he couldn't use it, he wouldn't know what traits he had. Core skills. With no other choice, he could only flip through the novel. Due to the effect of the exclusive trait, his reading speed increased. No matter how bad it was, the content of the novel surged into his mind like a tide. Soon, he found the corresponding scene in the novel for carriage 3707. But when he looked up, he found that he was actually in carriage 3807. In this way, Jin Duji instantly understood. The current development was somewhat different from the novel. He knew the plot was a bit different, because the carriage he was in was the one next to the protagonist. And at this moment, someone could no longer hold back and started to act. A white-haired man was violently beating an old lady. Jin Duji immediately recognized this guy's identity. He is the survivor from carriage 3807 in the novel. Jin Nanyun is the crazy youth who adapted the fastest in the fire-extinguishing novel, and the other survivor is Li Jianqing. If the plot hasn't changed, Everyone else, including Jin Duji, will die at this moment when someone couldn't stand it anymore. He stepped up to stop Jin Nanyun's violence. But in just a few words, Jin Nanyun made them see the reality. Because in the live broadcast in front of them, the bloody screams kept coming out, deeply stimulating everyone's gradually breaking nerves. If no one dies within 5 minutes, they will all die. Although killing their own kind to survive is something only beasts would do. But if they don't act now, they will all die. Jin Nanyun's crazy words made everyone furious. For a moment, everyone began to tacitly approve of his report. Even someone, after hesitating for a moment, became his accomplice. Ding Duji stood at a distance watching the scene. He felt like he was standing in another world, observing what was happening in front of him. Because in the original work, that unknown old man was the first victim. If he arbitrarily changes the development, then the ways for him to survive will also decrease. But his conscience kept questioning him. Is it really right to watch this kind of death happen? Is it really correct? But just then, Liu Shanjia beside him surprisingly stood up first. Jin Duji hurriedly pulled him back, saying that acting rashly now will really lead to death. But even so, Liu Shanjia still couldn't turn a blind eye to all of this. So Jin Duji comforted him to stay here. Just believe in yourself, and he won't interfere with him anymore after this time. Jin Duji took a deep breath, rubbing his palms. Although it's still too early to take action now, because his original plan was not like this. He had been waiting for the opportunity to act. Just then, a sudden wave of explosive shock came from behind, shaking the entire carriage. Jin Duji quickly seized this opportunity. Taking a leap forward, with tremendous impact, he crashed into Jin Nanyun, sending him flying 2.5 meters. Immediately, Jin Duji looked around, quickly searching for something. Soon, he locked onto a target. A young boy. He took off the box containing insects from him and handed one insect to his hand, then turned to everyone and shouted loudly, "Please stop, everyone. Even if you kill that old lady, you won't survive." Upon hearing this, everyone's gaze turned to Jin Duji, with disbelief on their faces. Seeing that everyone's attention was on him, Jin Duji continued to speak. "Even if you kill the old lady and complete the first act of murder, that would only buy you a little time. If you do as the ghost says, then each of you must kill one person to survive. But after killing the old lady, what will you do next? Are you going to kill the people next to you?" Jin Duji's words made everyone fall into deep thought. But at that moment, a mocking laugh came over. Jin Nanyun coldly laughed and said, "So what? Just kill the next coward like you." But Jin Duji smiled at this. "Actually, there's no need for that. Even without killing anyone, you can still find a way to survive." As he spoke, he took out an insect from his hand. "You should know that the task condition is not to kill, but to kill more than one living being." Hearing Jin Duji's words, everyone suddenly realized. They all stared at the box containing the insects in his hand. The crowd surged forward, waving their hands to grab at him. At that moment, the violent urge to kill the old lady turned towards Jin Duji. But for some reason, facing such a perilous scene, Jin Duji's heart was racing as if he was enjoying it. Then he grabbed the insect in his hand and immediately threw the box upwards. In an instant, all the insects flew out. The crowd suddenly scrambled to catch the insects. At the same time, a prompt sounded. "The first killing achievement has been completed. Gained an extra 100 coins." And at this moment, there were only 3 minutes left. At this time, Jin Nanyun asked Jin Duji, "Why throw the insects out? Wouldn't it be better to just give them directly?" Jin Duji told him, "Because there were only 3 insects left in the box." Upon hearing this, Jin Nanyun burst into loud laughter. You think since not everyone can survive anyway, you might as well just throw them out. Let's be honest. This scene is also what you wanted to see, right? Jin Nanyun questioned madly. Jin Duji had already regarded him as someone of the same kind. Jin Duji stared intently at Jin Nanyun in front of him. He knew very well that this guy was that kind of crazy person, both cruel and wild. Just then, a prompt sounded. To trigger a special skill, novel character. Check the next moment. Jin Nanyun's personal charm. The status window mode appeared. Seeing this scene, Jin Duji immediately guessed his own characteristics, while quickly browsing through Jin Nanyun's personal information. The Chunabu patient who appeared in the fire extinguishing method, mostly because they couldn't bear the nightmare of it all becoming real, committed suicide, but the Jin Nanyun in front of him was different. His nickname was the Delusional Demon. This is enough to prove that this guy is not an ordinary Chunabu. He has long awaited the destruction of the world. Therefore, he adapted to this world at an extraordinary speed. And at this moment, Jin Nanyun also extended an invitation to Jin Duji. How about teaming up with me? The character Jin Nanyun expressed goodwill towards you. Your understanding of Jin Nanyun has increased. Wenyan Jin Duji fell into silence. If he hadn't read the fire extinguishing method, teaming up with Jin Nanyun would indeed allow him to survive. But as a reader who knows him and his future, Jin Duji would absolutely not team up with him. So Jin Duji decisively rejected his invitation. Hearing this, Jin Nanyun felt it was a pity. Then he patted Jin Duji's shoulder. Now, please step aside. I'm looking for that old lady behind you. I still have some matters to attend to. The bugs that are about to be caught cannot be let go like this. But just then, Jin Duji grabbed his hand. Because he remembered one more thing. This damn guy was the one who made him very annoyed during the poison fire extinguishing method. Fire, seeing Jin Duji blocking him again. Jin Nanyun's face immediately showed an impatient disgust. What? You don't want to be a righteous messenger, do you? In my opinion, people like you are the most annoying. Didn't I tell you to get lost? As he spoke, he suddenly swung his fist at Jin Duji. Although Jin Duji reacted in time to dodge this blow, he soon swung his fist again. Jin Duji blocked with his arm to stop the punch. But the powerful force caused him a moment of pain. And at this moment, he also saw Jin Nanyun's abnormality. That was clearly the Chunabu characteristic skill darkening. He couldn't believe it. This guy actually discovered the skill so early. Immediately after, Jin Nanyun swung his fist at Jin Duji again. The strength he displayed at this moment was simply not something Jin Duji could withstand. After all, with this guy's psychological perversion, he had also been recruited by the protagonist. So his strength is evident. Just as Jin Duji hesitated whether to use that thing, a prompt popped up again. Your understanding of Jin Nanyun has increased. Exclusive skill, Omniscient Reader, Stage 1 has been unlocked. Jin Nanyun launched a continuous attack on Jin Duji. But the strange poet, no matter how he swung his fists, he just couldn't touch the hem of Jin Duji's clothes. This made him even more furious. Why can't I hit him? It turns out this is the effect of Jin Duji's exclusive skill, Omniscient Reader, able to read the opponent's mind. Therefore, he was fully aware of Jin Nanyun's actions. As Jin Duji dodged another blow, Jin Nanyun became increasingly frantic. However, even though Jin Duji could see through his thoughts, just dodging was already very difficult, let alone launching a counterattack. But now he just needed to buy a little more time. Because there were only 2 minutes left. If the old lady dies now, Jin Nanyun will complete his mission. No matter what. He cannot let this guy survive. But just then, Jin Nanyun sneered, suddenly pulling out a dagger from his bosom. Jinduji's heart activated the skill, short blade attack. Jinduji quickly picked up the old lady to dodge this strike. But just a scratch made him feel like his skin was on fire. He struggled to hold his body while carrying the old lady. But this couldn't escape Jin Nanyun's clutches. Death was gradually closing in on him. In a moment of crisis, Jinduji remembered the rules of this world. The weak die. The strong survive, which has always been an unchanging truth. If he wanted to survive, he had to make up his mind. Once he hesitated, he would be defeated. Jinduji stopped running. Instead, he quietly asked Jin Nanyun a question. Do you think insect eggs belong to living beings? The answer is yes. He said. He grabbed him in his hand. The insect suddenly jumped out madly. It killed the living being, gained 100 coins. And right after that was Jin Nanyun's deadly dagger. Jinduji quickly recited in his heart. Use 2,700 coins. Increase stamina. Physical sturdiness greatly enhanced. In an instant, Jin Nanyun's dagger pierced Jinduji's chest. But what he didn't expect was that the hand felt like it was touching metal and emitted a sound like a nail. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stab the hand into the heart of the golden calf. Seeing this scene, Jin Nanyun was puzzled. At this time, the golden calf said calmly that it would lay eggs in a frenzy during the spawning period, and can lay more than 100 eggs at once. What I mean is that the one who will die is not me, but you. It can be seen that only the last 60 seconds remain. It was like announcing his countdown to death. Jin Nanyun unwillingly threw the dagger at the golden calf. He frantically waved the dagger. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't hurt the golden calf in the slightest. As time passed, also entered the last few seconds. Time limit has been reached. Starting cost settlement. In an instant, blood stained the entire carriage. Main quest 1, value proof has ended. There are a total of 5 survivors in carriage 3807. They are Li Jianqing, Liu Shanjian, Jiang, Han Mingwu, Jinduji. Looking at the carriage soaked in blood, Jinduji couldn't help but recall what Jin Nanyun said, that he and he are the same kind of person. Because he originally had the chance to save these people. So it is definitely impossible to feel no guilt. But he didn't know why, at this moment, Jinduji was unusually calm. It was as if he were reading a novel. At the same time, a prompt appeared. You have killed a total of 124 life forms. You have earned a total of 6,200 coins. After deducting the coins used for upgrades, you have 3,500 coins remaining. Just then, the train unexpectedly started moving again. And when everyone looked out the window, they couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. They saw that the outside world was already occupied by countless terrifying monsters. Military strikes posed no threat to them at all. The world was beginning to head towards destruction. A whole new world was being born. And the golden calf is the only reader who knows the ending of this world. He immediately recognized that what was in front of him was the monster known as the sea serpent. In the future, a world of extinguishing fire magic. He would be classified as a level 7 monster. But in this world, the main quest takes precedence over everything. Therefore, as long as they are protected by the main quest, they won't have to face those guys for now. Then, the golden calf looked up at the jumping monsters. He counted a total of 21 stars in front of him. And those stars are the number of constellations connected to the channel. Constellations are the most mysterious existence in the world of extinguishing fire magic. Located at the top of distant nebulae, they are the behind-the-scenes manipulators watching all this tragedy. In simple terms, those constellations are observing them through the channels managed by the monsters. They are watching them in that sky. Although 21 is not a lot. For that rookie monster, it's already a big number. Look how happy he is. According to the original plot direction, It should be Jin Nan Yun killing most of the people in this carriage. But because of the golden calf's obstruction, it caused a system error, and some constellations that liked Jin Nan Yun also developed a dislike for him. This feeling made the golden calf feel quite ridiculous. Clearly, a day ago, those constellations and his own stance were completely opposite. But now, those guys are actually watching him. However, since there are constellations that dislike him, there are naturally those who like him. But whether they like him or hate him, they can watch to their heart's content. After all, in the end, they will all pay with their lives as a fee for watching. At this moment, Liu Shanjia came to the golden calf's side, concerned about others. The golden calf apologized to Liu Shanjia for not being able to save the old lady. But Liu Shanjia asked him why he could be so calm. However, she really thanked him just now. At that moment, he threw the box back towards himself. However, the golden calf told him that was just a coincidence, and there won't be a second time. The golden calf believes that with Liu Shanjia's intelligence, she should be able to understand his implied meaning. After all, because of his choices, some people survived, while others died. So no matter who he saved, he has no right to be thanked. And Li Zhancheng's survival was within his expectations. After all, he has a good physique and developed motor skills. Then the golden calf shifted his gaze to Li Jiong behind him. The reason he was able to survive was thanks to the explosive energy he left for him. After that, the golden calf put his arm around the little friend Li Jiong's shoulder. Do you want to live? Then come with me. The reason the golden calf did this was not out of sympathy. If one had to say, it could only be called hypocrisy. A few constellations were moved by your kindness, and the constellations sponsored you 200 coins. Although the golden calf also felt this was despicable, he had no choice but to do it to survive, because there will be important tasks later. Now, he first needs to attract the attention of the constellations. At this moment, the ghost said to everyone, "You all brought us a very wonderful performance today." And the madman in the next car is also Han Mingwu. He immediately asked if they could let them go now. After all, we have already done as you wished. The ghost chuckled. Do you really want me to let you out? Haven't you looked carefully at the situation outside? When he saw the fierce and terrifying monsters outside, Han Mingwu immediately wilted. Then the ghost continued. I actually didn't have high expectations for you guys in this carriage, but I didn't expect there to be so many of you. Through the first task, since you all overcame the hardships, as a reward for the first task, you can accept the sponsorship qualification from the constellations. How exciting, right? The ghost happily conveyed this message to everyone. However, they looked indifferent upon hearing it. There was no reaction. Naturally, Jin Yuzi could understand the crowd's expression. After all, here, only he knew what the constellations and sponsorship meant. Then the ghost snapped his fingers. A window immediately appeared in front of several people. Jin Yuzi looked at his window. He didn't expect that for constellations had chosen him. Meanwhile, Liu Shanjia quickly asked Jin Yuzi. Two strange options appeared in front of him. But regarding this, Jin Yuzi didn't plan to explain too much. He indicated that he wasn't sure either. Just consider it a matching test or something. But Jin Yuzi felt a bit surprised. He didn't expect Liu Shanjia's luck was also good. Two constellations actually chose him. And the sponsorship from these constellations is one of the core activities in the fire extinguishing method. The new choices behind it refer to those who use the ghost channel to watch their constellations. They select their favorite humans as their avatars and provide sponsorship. Taking Jin Yuzi's situation as an example, There are 4 constellations that want him as an avatar and to sponsor him. However, these constellations will definitely not reveal their true names, so one must carefully consider the subtle meanings of the names. This is to deduce their true identities. However, for Jin Niuzi, who knows the plot well, it's as easy as pie. First is the Abyss Black Flame Dragon. He is the leader of the constellation group Black Cloud. He is a powerful existence. If a contract is made with this constellation, and he becomes its avatar, it would greatly enhance his combat power. In the initial stage, where strength is greatly needed, there is no more suitable constellation than him. But the extent of improvement in the initial stage is very limited. Frequent use of this constellation's power will lead to mental pollution. In the end, one becomes a mad killer. Usually, it's those with characteristics of heavy second illness who would choose. However, in the original work, he is the behind-the-scenes star of Jin Nanyun. So why would he choose himself now? Thinking of this, Jin Dizi has concerns. So he decides to skip and look at the next one. The second constellation is the demon-like Judge of Fire. At first glance, this name is filled with evil. But thinking it over, demon-like. In other words, it does not mean a demon at all. In the bottle, there also appeared the living fish judgment. And the one who can judge through flames. That is the Archangel Uriel. Although this is also a good choice, Jin Dizi still decides to hold off for now. Because it belongs to the absolute good faction constellation. Although very powerful, it also comes with a bunch of inexplicable restrictions. Next is the third secret strategist. Seeing this name, Jin Tsuzi, for a moment, couldn't think of much relevant information. As a loyal reader of the fire extinguishing law, this is also the first time he has seen this option. Perhaps this is just one of the constellations mentioned by chance. But one thing he can be sure of is, this is not a powerful constellation. So Jin Dizi chooses to hold off and check later. And when Jin Dizi looks at the last constellation, his heart involuntarily pounds. He didn't expect that. He actually received an invitation from this constellation right from the start. The Tightening Prisoner. At first glance, this constellation seems to have a negative image. But one must pay attention to the proprietary term, tightening, which refers to the smallest prison in the world, living in the pain of having one's head tightly bound. He is the Monkey King with fiery eyes, the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. Among the characters in the novel, there are also characters sponsored by this constellation. With a single stick and a gray, one can sweep away hundreds of avatars. A single strike of thunder can destroy thousands of monsters. His power is breathtaking. The author's description of this constellation is extensive. Therefore, Jin Dizi remembers these vividly. At this moment, Jin Dizi looks towards the adjacent carriage. If he had chosen the great sage equal to heaven, when it comes to the star behind him, could he win against that man? Moments later, the selection time for the star behind him has ended. Feeling the choices of the crowd, the monster laughs heartily. It seems someone has made a very interesting choice. Then everyone, please take a break here. I will go prepare the next task. See you in 10 minutes. After the monster leaves, Jin Dizi gestures for everyone to come closer. Li Jianqing is the first to step forward and greet him. And the strength felt through their handshake. Jin Dizi sighs. As expected, he is the early meat shield in the fire extinguishing law. This also strengthens his resolve to bring Li Jianqing along. On this journey, Li Jianqing expresses his gratitude to Jin Dizi. If it weren't for him, everyone would have died. Even those who could survive probably wouldn't qualify. Of course, Mr. Jin Dizi. What should we do next? Li Jianqing has developed a sense of trust in you. Your understanding of Li Jianqing has increased. But Jin Dizi's words surprised a few people. We must leave here. In an instant, everyone was dumbfounded. Right now, outside, there are countless terrifying monsters. If we act recklessly, we will be annihilated. Even Li Jianqing disagrees with Jin Dizi's statement, feeling that this is too dangerous. But at this moment, a sudden loud noise comes from the door behind them. Everyone's gaze is fixed there. Jin Dizi immediately guesses what is happening. At this moment, the person behind that door is the only survivor of 3807. Without thinking, he knows who that person will be. As the sound of the door being kicked continues, everyone becomes increasingly tense. Jin Dizi's breathing also gradually quickens. That person is coming, the true protagonist of this story. So Jin Dizi immediately turns to a few people and says, "We must leave here immediately. If we don't go out now, before the next mission starts, we will all be dead." But Li Jianqing feels the one behind the door might not necessarily be an enemy. But Jin Dizi tells him the other party should be a survivor who lived after killing someone. Even so, do you still want to see him? Hearing Jin Dizi's words, the few people immediately become flustered, hastily searching for a way out. Meanwhile, as the figure continues to attack, the iron door seems about to give way. Looking at the swaying iron door, everyone's hearts tighten even more. The time left for them is already running out. Meanwhile, Li Jianqing finds an opening that can be opened, but it can only be opened a little before getting stuck. This also blocks their hope of escape. Although Jin Dizi could also use a coin to enhance his strength, just like before. But it has only just begun. Not knowing what will happen next, using up coins carelessly is too risky. So, Jin Dizi sets his sights on Li Jianqing, asking him to use his skills to open the door. While activating the special skill browser for Li Jianqing's status window, after looking at it, Jin Dizi lets out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, his new traits are just like what he read in the novel. Then he tells Li Jianqing he just needs to silently recite the skills he possesses to be able to use classical language. Li Jianqing then follows Jin Dizi's instructions, using the skill Push Mount Tai from his heart, mark. A powerful force forcefully opened the jammed door. Seeing that he succeeded, Li Jianqing immediately looked at Jin Dizi with admiring eyes. The character Li Jianqing from the novel begins to rely on you. Your understanding of Li Jianqing increases. Soon everyone escaped outside the carriage, running wildly. However, they had not run far when the monsters appeared again to block them. He, with a headache, expressed, "Didn't I tell you not to run around? I haven't even prepared for my task yet." Saying this, he helplessly snapped his fingers. "Forget it. Let's just do it this way." In the next moment, a new task window appeared in front of everyone. Subtask: Escape. Please enter the water station through the broken bridge. Time limit: 20 minutes. Reward: 200 coins. Failure penalty: unknown. After looking at the task, Liu Shanjia expressed in confusion, "Isn't this about the broken bridge? But this bridge is still fine." Jin Dizi told him not to worry about that for now. Just run first. Only Jin Dizi understands what's going on. This is because they left the train too quickly, so the bridge hasn't started to break yet. In other words, this bridge is definitely going to break. Although doing this is a bit despicable, if they don't seize the opportunity, it would be impossible to complete this task. Although this is quite risky, it should be considered a success for now. But at this moment, the calm water surface suddenly churned up a huge vortex. In the next moment, a gigantic sea beast burst out of the water and quickly charged towards the bridge. Jin Dizi urged the others to run quickly. He knew the monster's target was not them, but to destroy the bridge. Now, there are only about 200 meters left to the destination. At this speed, they could successfully reach it before the bridge collapses. But just then, a ghost suddenly appeared with a wicked smile. Isn't it too boring to just escape like this? Let's create a bit of an interesting atmosphere. He immediately snapped his fingers and adjusted the difficulty of the task. From level 1 to what level? In an instant, the dead people in the carriage came back to life and turned into a zombie nest. Everyone was attacked. And the one with the best stamina, Li Jianqing, had successfully entered the water control station. But the three who ran slower, Jin Dizi, were surrounded by a horde of zombies and fell into crisis once again. At that moment, a shadow enveloped several people. Jin Dizi quickly urged everyone to lie down. In the next moment, the sea beast opened its bloody mouth and destroyed the bridge. When the scene returned to calm, Jin Dizi stood up unsteadily, and the bridge in front of them had already become a broken bridge. Although he had long anticipated this situation, he didn't expect that Han Mingwu and Liu Shanjia would also be left here, while Li Jianqing and Li Jiang had successfully reached a safe area. Just when Jin Dizi didn't know what to do, a voice suddenly sounded. Someone has received the protection of the constellation. The protection of the constellation activates the heavenly savior during the task. In the next moment, a beam of light formed to connect the broken bridge. Heavenly savior, even-numbered bridge. Only an even number of people can cross the bridge. When the number of people crossing the bridge is an odd number, the bridge will immediately disappear. Liu Shanjia, confused, said to Jin Dizi. This suddenly appeared in her mind. Upon hearing this, Jin Dizi was extremely surprised. You must know, the heavenly savior incurs huge losses based on the constellation to gain the right to directly intervene in the task. Could it be that Liu Shanjia's chosen constellation has acted? Such a situation is extremely rare in fire extinguishing methods. What kind of constellation did he choose? What about the back star? So Jin Dizi immediately activated his skill on Liu Shanjia. Novel character view cannot be used. Novel character view to browse this character's information. Novel character view includes information about this character. This scene suddenly caught Jin Dizi off guard. Could it be that he possesses a special back heart? Just then, Liu Shanjia hurriedly reminded Jin Dizi loudly. He saw the zombies behind him already closing in. Jin Dizi quickly sidestepped and kicked it 2.5 meters away. Jin Dizi gritted his teeth and gathered his spirit. The current situation is not a time for him to be distracted. But why is this guy here again? In the next moment, the zombie Jin Nanyun attacked Jin Dizi again, activating the skill All-Knowing Omniscient Reader. This character does not have the consciousness to cancel the skill. Damn, it actually doesn't work. Seeing this scene, Jin Dizi was at a loss. At this moment, he could only quickly cross that even-numbered bridge. But there are only 3 people left now. That is to say, one person must stay behind to wait for death. So Jin Dizi immediately turned to shout at Liu Shanjia. But he saw an unexpected scene. He saw Han Mingwu carrying Liu Shanjia, sneaking away to escape. Seeing that Han Mingwu had been discovered, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. In the next moment, he took off running on one leg. Mr. Only Son. Sorry about that. Seeing this scene, Jin Dizi exploded on the spot. That bastard. Planning to leave me behind and run, huh? The secret strategist of the Zodiac. Expressing amazement at your stupidity. The demonic fire judge of the Zodiac. Moved by your spirit of sacrifice. Received a sponsorship of 100 coins. Jin Dizi activated the character check on Han Mingwu, but was once again prompted that it couldn't be used. But he still saw at a glance, Han Mingwu was using Heart Scar. One-legged, flying should belong to the Zodiac's lane. Fraudster. Heart Scar is not a skill possessed by the avatar itself, but rather the power granted by the heart behind it. At this moment, Jin Dizi already knew the reason for his skill activation. Failure. Just like the literal meaning. because they are not characters that survived in the original work. At the same time, a horde of zombies rushed towards him. But now, he couldn't cross the bridge alone. So he had to come up with a way. Although Jin Dizi thought about subduing a zombie with the past, the success rate was simply too low. Now, there are only 15 minutes left until the mission ends. With no options left, he was already at a dead end. His body was also about to reach its limit. Jin Dizi sighed. If only I had a combat skill, I wouldn't be so tired. It seemed to hear his inner monologue. A question suddenly jumped out from behind. To activate the dedicated skill bookmark, he saw the huge, ethereal book flipping rapidly, loading the activated bookmark directory. To activate the character bookmark, character directory delusional evil spirit Jin Nan Yun, steel sword in the salty city. Jin Dizi looked at over 3,000 fire extinguishing methods, but had never seen such a skill. But relying on intuition, he roughly knew how to use it. Activate bookmark 1. Bookmark 1 has been activated. Bookmark skill level to low, shortening usage time. Duration 1 minute, only in an instant. Jin Dizi was filled with power. The dagger of Jin Nan Yun appeared in his hand, activating skill blackening. At the same time, Jin Nan Yun also swung his claws to attack. However, at this moment, Jin Dizi was, like Jin Nan Yun, possessed. His figure flashed like lightning, and instantly sealed Jin Nan Yun's throat with a sword. Then, with a thud, he collapsed weakly to the ground. Understanding of Jin Nan Yun increased. Bookmark 1 has been closed. And at this time, only 10 minutes remained until the mission ended. At this moment, Jin Dizi's stamina was also about to reach its limit. He could only lean against the broken bridge and struggle to hold on. At the same time, he silently counted in his heart that the time was almost up. He should have appeared, guessed right. At this moment, a sudden loud noise came from behind the zombie horde. A huge sound instantly attracted the attention of all the zombies. A man slowly walked over. Wherever he passed, zombies were continuously harvested like grass. Seeing this scene, Jin Dizi smiled like a comet. You finally came. The man strolled leisurely through the zombie horde. The powerful aura he emitted made the zombies. Not a single one dared to approach. Then, the man questioned Jin Dizi, "Who are you?" Along with this came a terrifying sense of oppression, instantly shaking Jin Dizi's heart. Do I have to face such a terrifying guy? Impossible, there's absolutely no chance of winning. Activate exclusive skill, novel character. View related information about this character. Many skills change to what needs to be viewed. In the next second, the man's personal information appeared right in front of Jin Dizi, and along with it appeared a large hand, rushing towards him. It grabbed Jin Dizi by the neck, lifting him up into the air. The man once again questioned Jin Dizi, "Why are you still alive?" Jin Dizi stared intently at the man in front of him, remembering the first method of survival in the fire extinguishing method. And now the man in front of him is the one who survived to prove that method. Violator Liu Zhong. The grand tragedy of this world began with him. At the same time, on the other side of the bridge, Li Jianqing widened his eyes, trying to see the scene on the other side. However, he couldn't see anything, just like being blocked by a barrier in the carriage back then. At this moment, Jin Dizi was experiencing a life and death moment. His body was hanging in the air, ready to fall into the deep sea at any moment. At this time, Liu Zhong spoke again, "Tell me your name." Jin Dizi. When Yan Liu Zhong said this name is really strange. After saying that, he punched Jin Dizi in the stomach. Your body is quite solid. It seems you are already familiar with the use of coins. From now on, whatever I ask you, just answer. Do you understand? Jin Dizi stared intently at Liu Zhong. The current situation is really terrible. Liu Zhong is more dangerous than others. He has experienced 3 returns, endured a lot of trials. For his own purpose, there will be no hesitation at all. Seeing that Jin Dizi had not answered him for a long time, Liu Zhang raised his fist again and swung it at him. But this time, his fist was blocked by Jin Dizi. Jin Dizi did not back down, staring directly at Liu Zhang's scheme. You are younger than me. The one who should be more polite is you, guess right. Professional player, Mr. Liu Zhang. Upon hearing this, a meaning flashed in Liu Zhang's eyes. The novel character Liu Zhang has become wary of you. You recognize me? Jin Dizi responded, of course. After all, I was an employee of a game company before. You are quite famous. I used to be your fan. However, the truth is, Jin Dizi is lying. Because not long ago, Liu Zhang was just a fictional character to him. The so-called fame is just a setting in the book. But him being a fan of Liu Zhang is not a lie. Because among those 3,000 plus novels, this guy really liked him. Hated, complained, and yet supported him as a fan. I haven't heard someone say that in a long time. Since that's the case, I'll forgive your arrogance and rudeness. However, your situation will not change. I only have one question to ask. How did you survive on the train? Jin Dizi nervously swallowed. He knew it would be this question. If I answer, will you let me go? Depends on the situation. When Jin Dizi's mouth curled slightly. Just by looking at his expression, you can tell this guy is talking nonsense. After all, the only reader of the fire extinguishing method is not just a nobody. So he quickly thought about how to say it. To convince this damn returnee. Your understanding of Liu Zhang has increased. Due to your understanding of the character, the level of understanding has reached a high standard. The second stage of the omniscient reader perspective has been unlocked. In an instant, voices appeared in Jin Dizi's mind. Those were indeed Liu Zhang's inner thoughts. So Jin Dizi smiled slightly and truthfully told him how he survived. Upon hearing this, Liu Zhang felt it was unbelievable. Because the future he knew now had completely changed. But when he noticed Jin Dizi's expression, he found something was off. Because, as a novice, he was too calm. The guy who killed Jin Nanyun was probably him. This was no longer just impressive, but dangerous. Thinking of this, Liu Zhang suddenly increased his grip strength. In an instant, his left eye flashed with golden light, as if it could freeze all thoughts. Jin Dizi immediately recognized. This was Liu Zhang's SS. The skill, Sage's Eye, could not only peek into the opponent's attribute window, but also uncover hidden information. It was the strongest reconnaissance skill. However, Jin Dizi's system popped up a prompt to activate the exclusive skill, Fourth Wall. The fourth wall blocked the Sage's Eye. This change immediately caused Liu Zhang's skill to lose effect, and even made him suffer a significant backlash. At this moment, Liu Zhang's wariness towards Jin Dizi reached its peak. What exactly is your true identity? This sudden scene was something Jin Dizi never expected. At the same time, Liu Zhang's inner voice once again entered his mind. He must kill him. Here. Wen Zi, Jin Dizi hurriedly shouted. Wait. Now Liu Zhang no longer trusts him. Therefore, he must change his strategy. So, Jin Dizi mentioned the 46th task of the later plot. That is a task he cannot complete alone. For this, he needs a trustworthy partner. Liu Zhang, I know the future, you don't. Upon hearing this, Liu Zhang immediately used his exclusive skill against Jin Dizi. The result he could obtain was, Jin Dizi was telling the truth. Seeing this scene, Liu Zhang felt it was hard to believe. How is this possible? Is there another prophet besides Anna? So you already knew I would come here. That's right, I know you do too. You know what will happen in the future. But you also know very well that your ability is not perfect. Let me be your partner. I can make up for your imperfections. Upon hearing this, Liu Zhang fell into deep thought. A prophet would indeed be helpful to him. But is this person really worthy of his trust? After pondering for a while, Liu Zhang also gave his answer. I've made my decision. I'll let you be my partner. After saying this, he dragged Jin Dizi towards the even-numbered bridge. Seeing that Liu Zhang was finally persuaded by him, Jin Dizi also let out a sigh of relief, finally saved. Due to investing a lot of mental energy, from the perspective of the one who lifted the exclusive skill's poison. Although the skill was lifted, Jin Dizi felt a bit uneasy in his heart. But being able to do this now is already great. Not only did he win over Liu Zhang, but he also managed to cross the bridge smoothly. However, after reaching the other side, Liu Zhang suddenly stopped in his tracks. I'll ask you one last question. If you really are a prophet, then you should also know about your own future, right? After saying this, he once again pulled Jin Dizi towards the edge of the broken bridge. A sense of foreboding spread in his heart. Jin Dizi was once again suspended in midair. Below, there was a sea beast with its gaping maw waiting. Liu Zhang asked Jin Dizi one last question. Do you think I will let go of this hand? In his heart, Jin Dizi couldn't help but curse softly. This damn psychological pervert. He had completely guessed Liu Zhang's thoughts, because he understood this guy better than anyone else. First, I need to tell you two things. First, I am not your unwillingness. So I hope that from now on, we are on equal footing. Second, since I promised to help you, you also need to promise to cooperate with me. So your answer is? Jin Dizi understood and let out a sneer. Let go of your hand. Get lost. Damn bastard. Say it. Liu Zhang immediately released his grip on Jin Dizi's hand. Watching Jin Dizi fall downwards, a smile appeared on his face. I believe you. You really are a prophet, no doubt. At the last moment, Jin Dizi didn't forget to curse. Humph. You bastard. And below, the sea beast had been waiting for a long time. It swallowed Jin Dizi whole. Fortunately, I wasn't crushed by the sea dragon in one bite. Instead, I followed along the sea dragon's esophagus, arrived in its stomach. But according to the content of the novel, 2.5 hours after the sea dragon eats its food, it will start secreting gastric acid. So I must escape from here as quickly as possible. During this time, just then, a ghost suddenly appeared in front of me. But I had already anticipated this. The previous task introduction failed. The consequence is 3 question marks. Clearly, this guy is not here to help me. As expected, he said, pay 5,100 gold coins. I can spare your life. I rolled my eyes at him. What a guy. You planned this, didn't you? This just happens to be all my family. Then I said, you won't kill me. My outstanding performance in this survival game has attracted quite a few constellations. As a streamer, you naturally can gain a lot from this. I'm not wrong, am I? In the first episode, the ghost was stunned to hear this. The ghost was dumbfounded. How does a mere mortal know about me? I whispered, if you turn off the live stream channel, I'll tell you. To know the reason, he quickly turned off the live stream channel. He was about to speak, but I interrupted him. How I know all this is not important. What matters is whether you want to become the king of ghosts. Sign a contract with me. I can make you the most powerful streamer in the universe. Hearing this, the ghost's eyes lit up. But the next second, he suddenly burst out laughing. After all, even a ghost would find this absurd. A mere mortal dares to challenge him. Moreover, he does not belong to the constellations, so he directly rejected my proposal. But I told him I don't want his power, but rather to sign an exclusive contract with his live stream channel. The live stream contract is originally a contract signed between the streamer and the constellation. The constellations can transform and perform, finding fun on specific channels, while the ghost streamer collects the constellation avatars and takes a portion of the gold as a service fee. At this moment, the snotty face looked ferocious. You, a little bug without any backing stars, dare to mention a live stream contract? Do you believe I can kill you right now? I told him. Not having backing stars is my greatest value. The main god constellations, one type travels through various channels to find fun and pass the time. The other type looks for avatars to roleplay. If you want to become a famous streamer, you must satisfy one of these types. But if there is one that does not sign with any constellation, the embodiment of the contract, and he can also showcase abilities that surpass other embodiments. After hearing what I said, the snotty face was stunned. If that's the case, the live stream effect is simply explosive. Sure enough, this video channel has exploded with activity. Countless constellations are clamoring for the snotty face to start streaming, because at this moment, their curiosity about me has reached its peak. I can not only confront the returners, but also claim to have the ability to foresee the future. So the snotty face hurriedly started the live stream, trying to please the major god constellation. Dear viewers, please don't rush. There was just a server issue. It wasn't that I intentionally turned it off. Please, let me continue to guide you. I guarantee that you can become the king of ghosts. Just as the snotty face was weighing the pros and cons, a hidden mission suddenly triggered. Please kill the fish dragon and escape successfully. Mission failed. Death. I knew my chance to showcase my value had come. So I started buying items in the ghost shop that could help me complete the mission. I bought 4 spikes and 4 packs of seahorse hammers. However, the snotty face didn't believe I could make it out alive. Then he left a remark and disappeared. Before long, a large amount of gastric acid began to flow from the fish dragon's stomach. I didn't dare to waste any more time, and hurriedly smeared the seahorse slime on the spikes. Then I suddenly sprayed the gastric acid with the sharp thrust. Soon, 4 days passed in a flash. At this point, a fish dragon was dead beyond recovery. The snotty face returned to the fish dragon's stomach, but the sight before him deeply impressed him. This is truly remarkable. This was almost an impossible task. No one knows how I managed to survive these 4 days. And my performance also earned me quite a few tips from the constellations. I collapsed to the ground, exhausted, but I finally survived. At this moment, the snotty face looked at the spikes. It turns out, I actually relied on the slime of the seahorse to be immune to the fish dragon's gastric acid. The principle was to block the fish dragon's digestive fluid outlet with spikes. I literally ground the fish dragon to death. So, the snotty face interrupted the live stream with a small advertisement. He finally made up his mind to sign a live streaming contract with me. This contract looked quite formal, but it didn't clearly state the distribution of the live stream's earnings. Seeing that I seemed to have noticed this contract, the details on the contract, the snotty face broke out in a cold sweat. As for the tips in our live stream, how about a 50-50 split? But how could I believe his nonsense? I directly took the initiative and started my own business. The handling fees paid by those constellations would be enough for you to make a big profit. So, tip me for 10 years. And also give me a signing fee of 5,000 gold coins. Otherwise, I will go to other channels. Hearing this, the snotty face exploded in anger. However, under my threats, he still agreed. Then I used the excuse of modifying the attribute window to have the snotty face test my exclusive skill, the fourth wall. To my surprise, this skill can even block interference from ghosts. Seeing this situation, I was extremely excited. No one could see my attribute window. This would make it convenient for me to cheat in the future. After a moment, I entered the area of the second main quest. As soon as I stepped in, a wave of poison rushed towards me. I knew this game was only just beginning. The city is heavily polluted, and there are ghosts rampaging everywhere. I must reach the underground subway station as soon as possible. But before that, I first went to the supermarket to purchase a batch of living supplies, and casually took down a poisoned woman, Zheng Xiwan. It's not that I'm a saint, but I saw her character information. Exclusive attribute, Infiltrator. This is in the novel one of the few attributes that can super evolve, and can become a great assistant for me to clear the game. Then we ran wildly, and soon arrived at the nearest subway station smoothly, where we met Li Jianqing and a few others. But before we could say much, a group of people surrounded us with weapons. Glasses guy Han Mingwu directly turned into an antique, and wanted to drive me out. At that moment, the leader of the survivors, Chen Renhao, came up. Everyone, come over quickly. This brave new member brought us food, and sincerely invited me to join their organization. And it is said that with great power comes great responsibility. This guy looks cultured on the surface, but behind the scenes, he is a downright old schemer. He plays moral coercion very clearly. I am certainly not a philanthropist, and I directly expressed my refusal. The crowd around him, however, pointed the old man towards me. Are you really planning to monopolize the food? There isn't enough for everyone to share. You all are only thinking about yourselves. But I know these people survived the first mission. Not a single one of them is clean. So I don't intend to sympathize with them. And Chen Renhao is precisely taking advantage of this point, putting me in a dilemma. If I don't share the food, everyone will see me as the villain. But if I side with them, there won't be enough, thus coercing me to join their organization. Otherwise, it will be difficult to survive here. I certainly won't let his scheme succeed. I said that the food can, of course, be shared with everyone. However, once the food needs to be purchased for 50 gold coins, Zheng Xiwan, whom I saved, was the first to stand up. He stated that he wouldn't take food for free. Then he looked at the crowd. The food was found by someone risking their life. You all aren't going to be like the others, are you? Planning to eat and drink for free, huh? It turns out that this subway station is divided into two organizations. The ones occupying the food are the mainstream organization led by Chen Renhao. The other is an edge organization made up of the old, weak, and women like him, composed of marginalized groups. For a tiny bit of food, I had to go outside to scout the situation. With his example set, everyone also agreed with his statement. In less than a day, all the food was swept away. However, half of the food was purchased by Chen Renhao's mainstream organization, and Chen Renhao stirred things up again. If everyone wants food, they must prove their worth. Either go out as scouts, or they must pay a high price of 200 gold coins to buy it. 10. This is the lesson Mr. Golden Calf taught me. With him saying this, the crowd once again turned their hostility towards me. At this moment, I realized, no wonder these people are so foolish. It turns out it's because of this guy Chen Renhao, who has the ability to incite. But now, no matter how they act, the wind won't rise, because I have already sold all the food. It's not that I'm foolish, but I know the second main quest is about to start. At that time, all the food will disappear. Sure enough, not long after, a lightning bolt exploded in the entire subway station. But what came out was but rather a dark, slippery fellow. Let's temporarily call him Black Snot. Then he said to everyone that originally, the guy in charge of this channel was punished, and now I am in charge. Then Black Snot snapped his fingers, instantly confiscating everyone's food. Immediately after, he continued to say, That previous guy let you live too comfortably. From now on, the difficulty increases. As soon as he finished speaking, a new task appeared before everyone. New survival fee item. Each person must pay a survival fee of 100 gold coins every day. Otherwise, they will be executed. Seeing this situation, I smirked. This is the true nature of the game. To survive, we must go outside to hunt. And the retro guy, Han Mingwu, was also assigned to our hunting team. We decided to explore along the subway tunnel. And the role of the insect South Sea Tenderloin was also at this moment. It turns out his attribute is insect collector. He can know the surrounding situation by communicating with insects. Soon, Brother Cockroach fed back the information. Within 100 steps ahead, it's safe, and it didn't take long. Everyone received a new side quest. Obtain food. Monsters that can serve as food through personal hunting. And cook it. Reward, 500 gold coins. At the same time, the front of the tunnel was littered with monster corpses. I looked at these corpses thoughtfully. I didn't expect the game had just begun. That guy could already deal with this. Level 9 monster Lugu. We used the bones of these monsters to make a few simple weapons. Then I had everyone leave only a portion for survival and spent the rest of the gold coins on improving our physical abilities. Next, it was time to start real hunting. I saw Li Jianqing take the lead and directly gave the building a skyrocket. And the nearby Zhang Xiwan didn't hold back either. With one bone, he knocked down the rushing building. Everyone was fighting for their own survival, wielding the weapons in their hands. However, this hunting action seemed much easier than I imagined. In no time, we had killed all these monsters, just as everyone was discussing how to cook these Lugu. Suddenly, a Lugu rushed out from the shadows and took down Fan Gu. Hanming 5 fled deep into the tunnel. Seeing the situation, Liu Shanjia hurriedly rushed to save, but was taken away by Lugu as well. In just the blink of an eye, the two disappeared into the darkness. Then we decided that Li Jianqing would coordinate with Zhang Xiwan to provide support on the spot. I went with Li Jiong into the cave to look for the two. With Li Jiong's diverse communication skills, we moved freely in this pitch-black cave, without any obstacles. At this moment, Li Jiong asked me, "Brother, you let that Lugu go on purpose, didn't you?" I didn't hide it, and admitted that I did it on purpose. The reason for this is that Lugu has a habit of hoarding treasures, but this place can only be found by following the tunnel he opened. Moreover, my goal is just the items inside. So, are you disappointed? However, Li Jiong tightly held my hand. I believe my brother is not that kind of person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have saved me on the subway. Then he whispered, "Brother, what are you? Or are you the main character?" Li Jiong's words left me in shock. I didn't expect him to be much sharper than I imagined. Seeing that I didn't respond, Li Jiong didn't ask any further. He continued to lead the way silently in front. Before long, we arrived at the entrance of Lugu's cave. A group of Lugu were on both sides of the treasure river, seemingly guarding something. Just then, from the other side of the cave, came the argument between Liu Shanjia and Fan Gu. It turned out that Fang Gu was refusing to drive his multi-million luxury car and insisted on stealing Liu Shanjia's bicycle to take the subway. Now that reality has turned out this way, he still blames others for not giving him a chance to pursue. Hearing this, I could no longer listen. I pulled out a sharp spike and threw it at Fang Gu. In the next second, the spike pierced into the rock above his head. It wasn't that I threw it carelessly, but to draw out the boss of this dungeon. I saw countless cracks appear on the stone wall, and in the next second, a cloaked undead mage burst through the wall. At the same time, we all received a new mission alert. The dungeon mission has been updated. Exterminate the Dark Guardian. Seeing this, I hurriedly rescued Liu Shanjia and the others, and told them to quickly maintain a safe distance. The demon is a particularly special type among all monsters, and its strength far exceeds that of other monsters of the same level. If it comes to a last resort, I absolutely do not want to fight him. Before I could think much, the Dark Guardian launched the first attack. I could only hear him chattering away, not knowing what he was mumbling about. In the next second, a strong sense of fear instantly swept over my entire body. And my exclusive skill, the fourth wall, was also triggered immediately, negating most of the terror. Seeing that I could withstand his skill, the Dark Guardian became excited. He kept chattering at me. At this moment, Liu Shanjia's translation skill was triggered, and she told me he was calling you mom. The Dark Guardian then pointed at Fan Guzi, telling him to be his dad. Upon hearing this, I rolled my eyes, wondering if it had to be this twisted, but before I could think much, a tentacle suddenly shot out from behind the Dark Guardian, instantly piercing Fan Guzi's throat. Performing a nucleic acid test on him, it turned out he wanted to implant his offspring in the bodies of other species. Seeing this situation, I rushed forward and cleaved the tentacle with a knife. The jealous Dark Guardian instantly went into a rage, madly swinging 7 or 8 tentacles, striking at me. And my weapon was shattered into pieces under his series of attacks. I could only keep dodging. This was originally a battle with no chance of winning. But fortunately, I had a backup plan. I hurriedly shouted to the sky, "Ghost, are you watching? Come out quickly." Upon hearing this, Black Snot was startled. "How did you know I was watching?" I didn't waste any more words, and directly told him to hurry and give me the oil pack from Snot, who knew he would say that was Snot's business, and it wasn't his concern. Once this was said, it immediately attracted the parents of the constellations in the audience. Since you are replacing Snot's job, you must take responsibility. Seeing this screen full of Black Snot, scared to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat, had no choice but to deliver the oil pack to my hands. This was from when I previously killed the fish dragon, after obtaining his inner essence, to let Snot trade at the ghost auction for the items I received. I saw a flash of lightning explode in my palm. A sword named Broken Belief appeared in my hand. This drew a round of laughter from Black Snot. This broken arrow can actually fight? But what he didn't know was, I was still at Snot's place, buying something called Platinum, Memory of Steel. I saw a steel object rapidly condensing at the broken sword's point, and the Broken Belief seemed to sense this magical power. A surge of energy erupted around him. The Blade of Belief activated. Even though I possessed such a divine weapon, I was still no match for the demon before me. In this novel world, having a powerful divine weapon doesn't guarantee you can become knowledgeable. Moreover, I had no support from any backing. Just trying to wield this sword was exceptionally strenuous for me. But in this novel world, I was the only reader, so the reader would fight in the reader's way. I directly activated the second bookmark representing Li Jianqing to use his exclusive skill weapon for 1 minute. Then I took a quick step and charged at the Dark Guardian again. With the skill's enhancement, every time I swung the divine weapon, the Guardian would have one of its tentacles severed by me. And with my final strike, I nearly cut him in half. This left the constellations watching the live stream wide-eyed. To think that at the beginning of the mission, I could almost kill the dungeon boss. So they all generously tipped me 100 gold coins. And Black Snot was utterly stunned by this scene. Snot, where did this guy find such a powerful kid for his channel? At this moment, I told Black Snot to quickly distribute the mission rewards. Stop dragging this out. But Black Snot was curious. Aren't you going to kill this guardian? This guy is worth at least 7,000 gold coins. But I said I never kill. It's not that I'm foolish. It's because I know that in this world, all demons belong to the demon lord's subordinates. Once you kill him, you will be relentlessly hunted by the demon lord. But just then, the ancient guy raised his dagger and stabbed the guardian on the ground. Then he howled to the sky, "Jin Juzi, you fool. Didn't expect that, right? Now, can get stronger too." Just as he thought. He was so clever. A voice echoed through the sky. The dark guardian was killed. The demon lord of holy wrath and desire sensed the presence of the killer. Tan Ming will be hunted forever by the demon lord. At the same time, he will receive the demon lord's terrifying curse. The curse will make the killer's greatest fear become a reality. Upon hearing this, Li Jiang looked at me with admiration. "Brother, you're amazing." Then we arrived in front of the treasure chest. Inside were 3 items. A bracelet that can restore magic power with 1 click, an old iron shield, and a magical fire for cooking food. With these items, we can consider this dungeon mission a complete success. However, the real treasure here is this box that holds the treasures. As long as you put low-level items inside, high-level items will definitely appear. As I placed the broken belief into the treasure chest, the next second, purple light exploded from the chest, and the original diamond ring also appeared at that moment. Are we dealing with humans? Unbreakable belief star level item can enhance the user's physical abilities and strength. With this sword, slaying monsters will be much easier. Then we prepared to return to the shelter. However, Kriji Yang told everyone, there are no insects nearby. In this pitch-black cave, without insects to lead the way, it's easy to get lost. And we might also be attacked by some monsters. Just as everyone was discussing strategies, Li Jiang suddenly closed his eyes and muttered something. Meanwhile, on the ground, at least 1 large mantis seemed to be summoned and walked towards the cave. Looking at this shaking cave, I knew he was summoning the undead species from the ground. So I hurriedly stopped him. Now is not the time to summon. Otherwise, we will all be buried alive here. Next, we just need to wait for small insects to appear around. Then we can set off. Just then, Liu Shanjia stepped forward, saying I can take everyone back. It turns out he has a skill to find the way that can connect the starting point and the destination. With his help, we quickly returned to the tracks. At this moment, a golden light suddenly exploded in front of everyone. "Hello everyone, did you miss me?" This guy rushed back to check his channel after finishing his little black room journey. Soon, we returned to the platform. I gave the shield I obtained to Li Jianqing. This way our team's tank can increase its defense level. And my action also made Li Shan show a hint of loyalty towards me. At this time, there was less than 20 minutes left to submit the survival fee. Many people started to get restless due to lack of gold coins. It was unsafe just then. Qian Ren Hao walked into the crowd. Once again, he activated his incitement skill. Jin Juzi. The gentleman should be the one with the most gold coins here. Are you really not going to help everyone? His simple words made me the center of attention once again. Countless people frantically demanded gold coins from me. Once I refuse, it means they can only wait to die. But despite these people pleading with me, I felt no compassion at all. Since the end of the first main quest, these people living is already a sin. Qian Ren Hao laughed heartily on the side. He already knew I would ruthlessly refuse, then continued to incite the crowd. When you first appeared, you exchanged food for others' experience. If you hadn't done that back then, many people would have said less. His subordinates rushed towards me. Some even picked up weapons, preparing to take coercive measures. But the next second, his arm holding the stick flew out. This scene made everyone hesitate instantly. I coldly questioned them about their current situation. Is it really caused by me? You are just afraid of Qian Ren Hao. Because their abilities are higher, and they have more gold coins, so you can only tremble here. Qian Ren Hao pretended to smile, attempting to incite the crowd again. But everyone was curious. Why does he have so much energy? I reminded them on the side. At the start of the Jin Lake battle, there were 87 people. Now, only 50 are left. Everyone still thinks the missing people were killed by monsters. I mocked them. That they still believe such ridiculous lies. Think with your stupid head. Why has not a single person under Qian Ren Hao died? Yet they have more and more gold coins and become stronger. The answer is simple. That is, the gold coins on them are all obtained by killing. Everyone began to waver. Qian Ren Hao to explain. Suddenly, a reminder from Bai Ti. There are 7 minutes left until the survival sacrifice begins. Hearing this, everyone approached the 1,000-people ship with their weapons. Seeing this, I shouted loudly, if you still have a shred of dignity, you should fight with your own hands. Because this world requires a struggle of life and death. Upon hearing this, everyone could no longer hold back. With weapons in hand, they launched an attack on the group from the 1,000-people ship. The scene became extremely chaotic. In order to survive, everyone was fighting each other. I took out several of the 1,000-people subordinates with one sword. And beside me, Zheng Xiwan also pierced a small Karami's throat with a stick. I said I would kill you. At the same time, the system reminded him, Zheng Jiwan's attributes have evolved into the evil exterminator judge. This left me in shock. I didn't expect him to evolve into the strongest of the 3 judges, the evil exterminator judge. This is Zheng Xiwan asking me to step back. He wants to deal with these guys himself. I saw him close his eyes and activate the judge's memorial. In the next second, a phantom of a balance appeared around him. The judgment moment was activated. The small Karami around him was taken down by him in 3 moves. In an instant, he invaded the 1,000-people ship. Zheng Xiwan appeared in front of him, holding a drum knife. Before he could say a few more words, he slashed through his head with one stroke. With the death of the 1,000-people ship, the system also began to calculate survival costs. I stepped forward to help the exhausted Zheng Xiwan up. This world is just like this. We are just trying to survive. Every day that follows, we'll charge 100 gold coins as a survival fee, continuing until the completion of the second main quest. The next day we prepared to leave here. Zheng Xiwan asked the remaining people if they wanted to come with us. And after last night's training, they also gained their own growth. Politely declined Zheng Jiwan's kindness. Seeing this situation, we didn't insist, and set off for the next stop. We hadn't walked a few steps when I suddenly received 1,500 gold coins sent by Zheng Xiwan. He smiled and said he killed too many last night, so everyone got a share. Now, I have 20,000 gold coins on me. I spent 4,400 gold coins to upgrade various attributes. Just then, everyone received the second main quest, cross the tunnel, and meet the survivors of the first stronghold. Reward, 500 gold coins. And various monsters. After a fierce battle, everyone was exhausted and worn out. I let everyone rest in place for a while. I then went to the surface. According to the information in Yuan's novel, I know that somewhere here hides an important treasure. Soon arrived in front of a statue. I dashed towards the statue in one swift move, and immediately shattered it with an arrow. The statues in this world seal the power or items of constellations. As long as the seal is broken, they can be obtained. And smashing the statue is the fastest way to break the seal. Moments later, returned to the subway station and distributed the items I obtained to a few people. Now, we all have at least one item that belongs to us. This adds a lot of odds for the arrival of the next task. Then we continued towards the next stop. But just then, the system suddenly prompted, received a new instance task, Phantom Prison. Before anyone could object, a fierce cold wind rushed towards us. When I opened my eyes again, I actually saw my mother, who had died many years ago. Realizing this was an illusion, I quickly activated my exclusive skill, the fourth wall. The illusion of my mother instantly shattered and dissipated before my eyes. I hurriedly told everyone to take deep breaths, but it was too late. They had already fallen into the illusion. At this moment, only Liu Shanjia, who was wearing a Buddha bead, was not under control, so I quickly told him to be on guard around us. I immediately activated the exclusive skill obtained at the statue, there, called Shatter. The effect of the Phantom Prison was lifted. It was at this moment that Zheng Shiwan suddenly lunged at me with an ancient sword. His stunning eyes were the forepaws about to fall into madness. With no other choice, I could only knock him out. However, the situation was not over. I saw dozens of level 8 ghost species. The inner demons appeared ahead on the road. Fortunately, dealing with these mentally controlled monsters is not too difficult. In no time, I resolved them all. At this point, everyone also woke up. Just as we were about to reach our destination, a woman suddenly appeared before us. Don't you know that this is my hunting ground? This person is none other than the only survivor of Typhoon Women's High School, Li Jihui, who is also one of the main supporting characters in the novel world. And her panel attributes are ridiculously strong. With a reputation as the sea god of war behind her, Li Jihui, upon learning that we had killed all the inner demons, she surprisingly offered to bring us. Soon we arrived at the survivors' resting area. A drunkard noticed that Li Jihui had brought newcomers, and was very interested in the gold coins on us. Even casting his thoughts on Liu Shanjia, Li Jihui drew her sword directly, warning him to get lost if he didn't want to die. Then, Li Jihui told us to arrange ourselves and turn to leave. I hurriedly asked if Liu Zhang was also here. Upon hearing this, a flash of killing intent crossed Li Jihui's eyes, and she immediately questioned who I really was. I smiled and said I was Liu Zhang's companion, but Li Jihui told me that her master was not present, and turned to leave. It seems I can no longer persuade her to join my team. At this moment, a little fanboy approached. Are you really friends of Mr. Liu Zhang? It turns out that 3 days ago, Liu Zhang rescued their group from the hands of monsters, and they became Liu Zhang's followers. This survivor outpost is managed by Li Jihui, while Liu Zhang cooks food for the survivors, and for drinking water. Then I can only use gold coins, or food to ally with the landlord. And the Landlord Alliance is formed by Kong Bai, one of the 10 evils in the novel, and Du Bai Ji. His exclusive attributes are Landlord and Landowner, which allows him to thrive here. Any area occupied by him will be protected by the system. At this moment, at the toilet door, there are survivors of the horse. His desperate pleas for help are terrifying. Li Jiang, who urgently wants to use the toilet, squeezes into the crowd, but accidentally gets tripped by someone. Just as his hands touch the floor, the system suddenly prompts, Li Jiang has invaded private territory. Immediately, 4 Gatling machine guns appear out of nowhere and aim at him. At this moment, the system prompts again. Please pay £500 to the territory owner. Otherwise, all machine guns will immediately fire. Seeing this situation, I handed Zheng Shiwan over to Liu Shanjia for care. Then I came to Li Jiang's back. The strong man thought I was the child's guardian, and hurriedly asked me to hand over 500 gold coins. I said I would naturally be proud, but I would personally deliver it to your lord. So I walked into the territory. and shouted Kong Baidu's name loudly. At this moment, the man reading a magazine on the sofa finally took action. A newcomer with quite a bit of courage. He became very interested in my boldness, and I looked at his attribute panel in surprise. No wonder he is one of the top 10 villains in the novel. I kindly expressed my intention to rent the green area, but Kong Baidu stated that their alliance does not accept outsiders. Seeing this situation, I could only throw out a temptation. Pay 500 gold coins a day, and I have information about Liu Zhang in my hands. Upon hearing Liu Zhang's name, Kong Baidu's face instantly changed color and questioned what my relationship with him was. I told him that Liu Zhang and I are partners who share life and death. Kong Baidu didn't believe it at all and activated his exclusive skill, memory of gains and losses, stating that someone with my appearance would most likely flee. Seeing this situation, I could only helplessly say that since you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. I then turned to leave, but the next second, Kong Baidu called me back. You haven't paid the fine of 1,000 yet. Where do you think you're going? I said, isn't that a bit too much? To my surprise, Kong Baidu said nothing and instantly activated the Gatling gun. Suddenly, the entire area was engulfed in flames. Fortunately, Li Jianqing used his shield to protect me, but he couldn't hold it for too long. Seeing that Zheng Xiwan, who was responsible for combat power, was still not awake, continuing to fight would definitely be a loss. I could only negotiate with him again, warning him that if he continued to attack, he would die here. Meng Bai didn't understand what I meant, but I knew because that man had already arrived. Liu Zhang seemed surprised to see me here. I greeted him with a smile like an old friend I hadn't seen in a long time. Hi, Zhang, long time no see. To my surprise, the next second, Liu Zhang drew the weapon at his waist, but he wasn't pointing it at me, but at the confused Kong Bai. Under Liu Zhang's intimidation, he could only grit his teeth and let us go. Then, Liu Zhang said with a dark face, "You really are still alive." I smiled and asked him, "Do you really wish for me to die in the belly of the sea serpent?" Liu Zhang replied, "My life or death means nothing to him." Well, guess I was wrong to trust him. Then I checked his complete information. No wonder he is a man blessed with the protagonist's halo. Every skill visibly increases at an astonishing rate. Seeing me staring at him, Liu Zhang asked if I had anything else to say. Of course, I had nothing to say. I was just simply annoyed by him. Now, he was also very annoyed with me. I'm not like an ordinary survivor, filled with awe for him. At this time, Zheng Xiwan gradually woke up, and Liu Zhang didn't waste much time. He directly started his sage words. He began to check the attributes of our small team. After seeing Li Jiancheng's attributes, he looked disappointed. I didn't expect such a powerful tank to only have this level while following me, and I was powerless to complain. Damn it, I'm just an ordinary reader, unlike you, who has the protagonist's halo. But when Liu Zhang checked Zheng Xiwan, his pupils suddenly widened. It was clear that he also saw Zheng Xiwan. It's actually the evil judgment executor. I didn't expect that. I actually have such a powerful team around me. And Zheng Xiwan also noticed Liu Zhang's gaze. She questioned him unhappily, asking what he was staring at. I appreciate Zheng Jiwan's straightforwardness. Gave a big thumbs up, as expected of my cherished connection. Then I asked Liu Zhang why he would let Kong Baidu do whatever he wants, allowing him to act recklessly here. Although I know Kong Baidu will be helpful for the upcoming tasks, but to my countless questions, he showed great impatience, and even stated that the people here had nothing to do with him at all. Hearing this, I was so angry that I could punch this guy. Liu Zhang calmly said it was up to me but secretly activated his defensive piano. However, I was just talking big. After all, this guy is the protagonist. At this time, there were less than 2.5 hours till the third task began. The task had already started a week ago. This guy Liu Zhong must have obtained a lot of good things in other instances. Just as I was thinking about how to proceed with the next task, Zheng Xiwan walked over and said, "You seemed a bit timid facing Liu Zhong." I awkwardly laughed and said, "How could that be?" Then I changed the topic and said that if we don't deal with Kong Badu, it would be very difficult to complete the next task. Hearing this, Zheng Xiwan brandished her knife and walked out fiercely, saying she would take care of everything. Then she activated Judgment Moment, saying she would properly judge this guy who occupies public resources. But the next second, Judgment Moment was automatically cancelled. I explained, the distinction of good and evil by constellations is different from ours, and he also reasonably utilized his exclusive skills. However, the method to defeat him is quite simple, which is to move him outside the armed zone. Once he leaves, his armed skills will also become ineffective. Next, we just have to wait for an opportunity. Just then, the announcement appeared, declaring the main task of the third day has begun. Occupy the green area. Those who do not occupy the green area will face something terrifying at night. The task duration is 7 days. Hearing this, everyone in the subway station began to fight each other, competing for the area. Liu Shanjia looked at all of this in disbelief, afraid we will have to fight for it like these people. I reassure him not to worry. We just need to find a room that can accommodate many people. Then we decided to split up to look for rooms. If we don't find a room in 20 minutes, we'll return to the original spot. But I know all of this is in vain. Because of the red text annotations in the original novel, there are no extra rooms here. So, they can only compete with others for the green area. I don't know what choices they will ultimately make. Just as I was staring blankly at the novel, my nose suddenly started to bleed. You better hurry up and find a room. What are you staring at a blank memo for? At that moment, I realized no one but me can see the original text. I started to wonder what kind of existence the author of the novel is. Suddenly, Li Zhihui appeared behind me. Uncle Filial is very relaxed. Looks like you really want to die. But I am Filial, who says you have to occupy the green area to survive. Upon hearing this, Li Zhihui looked surprised. Are you as powerful as your master? But before he could ask more, Liu Zhong, he urged him from behind back to the room. Then, he asked me if I planned to fight the monster. If so, you will all die. I shrugged off the concern. Then you don't need to worry about it. Mai and Li Jianqing returned to the original spot. Sure enough, they didn't find a single room. I told them there are only 2 options now. The first is to fight for it, the room that can accommodate 5 people. Upon hearing this, they looked shocked. They knew I meant to kill him. Zheng Xiwan stepped forward and said, in the last battle, I killed many people. But that doesn't mean I like killing. I don't want to become a monster that only knows how to kill. The others also expressed that they would choose the second option. Upon hearing this, I smiled with relief. No matter what choice you make, I will respect you. Then we will choose the second option. Next, you must listen to my words and follow them. Otherwise, we will all die here. At this point, there are less than 5 minutes until the mission starts. The monster will spawn on the left side of the road at noon. Then it will sweep through the entire subway station. Fighting the monster on the platform, we will undoubtedly die. Next, we must split up and act. Even though my method is hard to believe, I still warn Li Jianqing and the others. You must act at the moment the monster appears, running towards them. The mission is about to start. Countless monsters appeared from the left side of the subway. Seeing this situation, I shouted, "Now is the time." The three of them did not hesitate. They ran towards the group of monsters. Just as they were about to make contact with the monsters, on the left wall above, a green area that can accommodate 3 people appeared. Seeing this situation, Liu Shanjia rushed forward in a single step. Just as his palm touched the green light, the system suddenly prompted. Someone activated the hidden function of the noon station, the reason why the hero's refuge was activated. Soon, Liu, Shanjia, and Zheng Shiwan arrived at the green area. But behind them, Li Jianqing was surrounded by monsters. Fortunately, Liu Shanjia activated the line skill and pulled him in just in time. These hidden areas only appear after the mission starts. Seeing that the 3 were safe, I carried Li Jiong and hurriedly ran in another direction. I knew there was another hidden green area nearby. But before long, we were surrounded by monsters. To make matters worse, this guy with the runny nose decided to increase the mission at this time, then extracted a portion of the green area, will stone. Every moment, dozens of unfortunate souls were swallowed by the monsters. This made me recall the plot of the novel. Liu Zhang, that guy, actually managed to hold on until dawn in such a situation. If I invest all my gold coins into physical strength, can I do the same as him? Just as I was fighting the monsters, Jiang suddenly said, "Brother, you go on without me. It's okay to leave me here." Hearing this, I was momentarily stunned. I didn't react right away. Then he continued to say, "I don't understand why you want to help me, brother. In fact, you could live better alone, brother. To be honest, I don't even understand why I would do this. Maybe it's because of the crowd. But more importantly, it's because I'm a full-time reader." Then I picked up Jiang and said, "You're right. Being alone really doesn't have that much drama. But I've read a novel with a similar plot. Later, the protagonist, who was all alone, was beaten halfway. I really am not cut out to be the protagonist. I can't even be the main character. But I can guarantee that Jiang won't be today." Then I told Jiang to go to the scenic spot. Immediately, activated bookmark number 1. Delusional about the evil spirit, Jinan alone. My movement speed instantly skyrocketed. I weaved between the monsters. Finally, under my efforts, I saw a green light not far away. This is hope. I used all my strength to leap up and rushed over. But the moment I saw the green area, I was stunned. That guy Liu Zhang had already appeared inside. Damn it, I know. This guy must be doing it on purpose. So I angrily shouted, "Can't you let me in? You can survive without coming in here." But this guy said he was too tired to move. This made me furious. This is clearly his 3rd return. In the novel, he should only discover the hidden area on his 4th time. Seeing the monsters about to catch up to me, I could only beg him to take me in. I was entangled with the monsters behind me. At that moment, Liu Zhang mocked me, saying I would die. I turned back and showed a reassuring smile. I will definitely not die. But as soon as I finished speaking, I was overwhelmed by the swarm of monsters. Seeing this situation, Ji Yang shouted my name, wanting to rush out of the safe zone. But Liu Zhang had a look of disbelief on his face. At that moment, a surge of fluorescence suddenly emerged from the monster swarm, immediately followed by the system prompt that the phantom prison was activated. It turns out I absorbed the previously killed ghost species. The heart demon spirit stone obtained can temporarily turn into a ghost and not be robbed by monsters, but taking it will create psychological shadows, the uncontrollable side effects. Fortunately, the exclusive skill of the 4th wall helped me offset most of the side effects. But just then, a blonde woman appeared behind me. Her information panel shocked me. It turned out to be the prophet and a Kaffir. who has the ability to foresee the future and can ignore space. As for entering others' consciousness at will, she came to find Liu Zhang, but found that I didn't know. She then asked me who I really was. I told her I was also a prophet, and she directly used a lie detection skill on me. The results showed that I was lying. This made me feel embarrassed. Sure enough, it doesn't work in front of a real prophet. Just as she was about to ask my name again, the effect of the fourth wall restored, and she was gradually driven out of my consciousness. I waved my hand and said, "Don't worry. We will meet on that continent." When the fourth wall skill fully restored, I collapsed awkwardly on the ground. I was already in poor spirits, and then encountered Anna. What bad luck. I wonder how they are doing. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying in the subway station. Liu Shanjia. A few people were anxiously calling my name. It turned out that the mission was already over. Everyone survived safely. I hurriedly asked where Ji Yong was, but found he was talking to Liu Zhang not far away. What? It turned out Liu Zhang wanted Ji Yong to go with him and promised to make him stronger. But Ji Yong said, no matter what, he would choose to stay. This made Liu Zhang glare at me in dissatisfaction, as if saying, what the hell is this guy doing? To have so many potential companions. And Li Ji Yong also noticed. I have woken up, and quickly ran towards me, and jumped into my arms. This scene made Liu Zhang even more dissatisfied and tense, his calves. Damn it. But he doesn't have time to worry about that now, because he has more important things to do. This is an event that even costs a fortune to use the restroom. Yet some people are acting like landlords inside. Since the arrival of the Apocalypse novel, countless people have died in the disaster. But many have gained a new life from the disaster, not only receiving sponsorship from deities in the universe, but also awakening various powerful exclusive skills. The Mediterranean in front of me has become a landlord in the apocalypse, relying on the awakened homeowner and landlord skills to occupy a lot of public resources. Any area occupied by him will be protected by his armed skills. This has caused many survivors to complain endlessly. With the next day's mission about to start, I decided I must completely finish this main quest before dark, which is to pull this guy, Kong Bidu, out of the green area he occupies. But before that, I need to significantly improve my teammates' combat power. According to the plot of the novel, Li Jianqing, originally, I would have undergone an attribute evolution in the last battle. But unexpectedly, Zheng Xiwan got there first, evolving into the evil judgment enforcer. While Li Jianqing, as a soldier of the people, must be feeling quite distressed in this apocalyptic situation as well. So I discussed with Liu Shanjia and the others to help him get back on his feet. I was the first to walk up to Li Jianqing. I said that thanks to Mr. Li Jianqing these past few times, I feel very safe being protected by your shield. Upon hearing this, Li Jianqing, this fool, scratched his head with a simple-minded expression. Really? And my words also made him start to feel a sense of responsibility. Next up is Praiser No. 2, Zheng Xiwan. He came up and praised. Li Jianqing is like a steady and easygoing person. And Li Jianqing said seriously, his favorite military song is Easygoing. Following that is Praiser No. 3, Liu Shanjia. Liu Shanjia's gentle words encouraged Li Jianqing greatly. Finally, it was Zhao Jiang's turn to take the stage. He directly and simply praised Li Jianqing's muscles as the best. This boosted Li Jianqing's confidence even more. I didn't expect such soulless praise to come so late. Now Li Shan only needs to wait for an opportunity for attribute evolution to happen. Then I went to the basement level and found Li Jihui. I hope he can help take down Kong Bidu and his group. Otherwise, everyone here will die. Li Zhihui, however, was unconcerned. He believed these people would die sooner or later. But I know, deep down in his heart, is not as indifferent as he appears. Then I threw out a remark. If you ignore my request today, then you will definitely regret it for the rest of your life. Upon hearing this, Li Zhihui squatted on the ground in silence. Soon, it was evening. We began to act separately as planned. Zheng Xiwan took Liu Shanjia and Ji Yong to the line for platform. I went upstairs with Li Jianqing. We found the Homeowners Alliance. As soon as we reached the door, we discovered a group of people robbing a woman. Selling. This left the justice-filled Li Jianqing speechless with anger. I knew his opportunity for evolution had finally arrived. I immediately spent thousands of gold coins to enhance my physical abilities. Then, under the cover of Li Jianqing's shield, I rushed forward in a single leap and severed Lozenham's arm with a single strike. The turf war officially begins at this moment. We quickly ran towards Kong Bidu's room. A group of people rushed up trying to intercept us. Li Jianqing activated his skill, Push Taishan, instantly blocking their attack. I swiftly charged into Kong Bidu's territory. He also activated his skill, Armed Underground 1 second, 4 bursts. The Gatling gun appeared and aimed at me. Seeing this situation, Li Jianqing threw the shield in his hand towards me. I braced the shield against the firepower suppression, walking step by step towards Kong Bidu. At this moment, Kong Bidu stood up with a smile. It turns out the arrogant tenant has arrived. I expressed that I no longer wanted to be a tenant. Upon hearing this, Kong Bidu didn't waste much time, preparing to launch another firepower suppression against me. But just then, subordinate ran over. Boss, our territory has completely fallen. I looked at Li Jianqing. Now is the time to smash everything. Upon hearing this, Li Jianqing looked at his technique. Then he raised his hand in 1 second. A golden light rose from his body. This scene deeply moved me. This battle, the most important core objective, is his attribute evolution. This is also one of my favorite scenes in the novel. Now, being able to see him evolve in person, this feeling is simply indescribable. I saw behind him. Suddenly, a pair of golden wings spread open. Then the system prompted Li Jianqing. Due to attribute evolution, new skill has been unlocked. He didn't hesitate, directly using the new skill, Crush Taishan. I saw his right hand become enormous. Then he slammed his fist down onto the ground. The entire second floor began to collapse. At the same time, the system prompted. Kong Bidu's private territory has been destroyed. My council and his group have been crushed under the rubble. We walked in front of Kong Bidu and smiled. Then let's go back to the time when there were no private territories. Members of the My Council, including Zheng Xiwan, also rushed over. They had already followed my method to completely change those small-scale, green areas. And Li Zhihui understood what I said. He helped me smash all the green areas of 5 to 8 people. And my actions this time attracted the dissatisfaction of other monsters. The streamers and constellations all issued bounty tasks against me, demanding that I be eliminated within 10 minutes. The reward is 2,000 gold coins. Seeing this situation, Li Zhihui directly ran away, stating that he wouldn't help me this time. I had already anticipated these situations, and I wasn't worried about my safety at all. Because next, these people wouldn't have time to consider how to gain from me. I was not surprised as the system prompted again. Due to the destruction of all green areas within the site, the main quest system is out of control. The system will update the main quest based on the remaining task difficulty. Every moment, the system issued a new urgent defense battle task. Monsters generated from the original task will appear simultaneously. Some survivors who didn't react were instantly overwhelmed by the crowd. Others hurriedly ran upstairs, only to find that the stairs had already been blocked by our group. Now, the entire subway station has no green areas. No matter where they hide, they will be found and killed by the monsters. To cut off the thoughts of these panicked people, I directly destroyed the entire corridor with one click. Then I said to everyone, there's only one way to survive now. And that is for everyone to work together to resist the monsters. But the crowd still, unfortunately, urged us to get out of the way. Seeing this situation, I